Hello, and welcome to another exciting adventure in the world of how to make it easy for people to give you money. My name is Michael Mollenhauer. I'm the president of One to One Network. We're an advertising and marketing company, and we service the areas of primarily southern Utah and also southern California, around the Laguna Beach area. But that's okay. We can work just about anywhere. I've got a great guest for you guys today. His name is Jason Kramer, and he is a CRM, email, and sales process guru. And he's also the founder of a company called Cultivize. I'm going to say hi to him right now. Jason, what's up?
Hey, Michael, how are you? What's up?
Hey, glad to have you here. But before we get to Jason, I got to do some thank you spots to some of our show supporters. We want to thank attorney Aaron Stringer with Red Cliff Legal in St. George, Utah. Now, when you need a good attorney to set up your estate plan or trust, Aaron is the guy that you want to call. You can visit his website at redclifflegal.com. Also, you can watch, listen, share, and subscribe to his podcast. It's called Legacy Made Clear. It's available on YouTube and all the major podcast channels for tips and advice regarding trusts, wills, and estate plans. And in San Clemente, California, when you need a great plumber, you need to contact my friend Mark Engel at Robert Fisher Plumbing. They've got about 30 years of experience providing five-star plumbing services to all of Orange County. You can visit robertfisherplumbing.com. Jason, thanks for sitting through our show supporter area. That's great.
I thank them because without them, I guess I wouldn't be here, Michael, right? So,
I would still figure out a way to get you here because
all
you're
right, I
just like,
appreciate
you're,
that.
you're too cool for school. And I know that one of your key focus points is you are empowering businesses to align marketing and sales, optimizing lead nurturing and CRM strategies for higher conversions and ROI. That's a big thing to do. So that's why I have you on the show today, since it's up to you to teach us how to make it easy for people to give us money. So take it away, Jason. But, well, not quite yet. I need you to tell us a little bit more about you as Jason the person before we go into Jason the guru. Can we do that?
Sure, absolutely. So,
Cool.
I'm here on the other side of the U.S. in New York. Um, my name, Jason Kramer, as Michael mentioned, founder of Cultivize. My background is in the tinkering world. I've always been a tinkerer at a young age. I always joked that I was the only 10-year-old with a workbench, in my neighborhood, and that really led me to my creative side. I was an art major, worked in the advertising world for a long time, had my own agency for 16 years, maybe similar to your agency, Michael. And then when I sold that agency, I pivoted to the world of data. And people like Jason, like, how does a creative person move to data? Like, that's not normal. But
No,
for me, it's exciting because I knew a problem exists and it still exists, which is connecting the things we do in marketing to the things we do in sales. And it's not that people don't want to do these things, it's just that they get overlooked, other things come up, and there's just a whole lot of confusion when you connect those activities together. And that's what I'm here today to talk about.
well, I'm glad you are because I'm one of those guys that doesn't like to do those things. So I'm glad that you do. And I'm sure there's a lot of folks in the same boat as you just described. So tell us a little bit more about your expertise in CRM strategy and implementation.
So, what I'd like to talk about is the shiny object, right? Like
Yeah.
anything in life, I was just talking to someone earlier on a call, Michael, and brought up a great example. I don't golf, but people that golf might be like, "Oh, I'm getting the best driver out there, right? And the best driver is going to help me hit that ball super far, and it's going to be amazing." But if your process, if your skill at hitting that ball is not good, it doesn't matter what club you're using, you're just going to slice that ball even further into the woods, which is going to put you farther off of target. And the world I live in is not too different than that. And when I say shiny object, we all know there's tens of thousands of different pieces of software out there. Forget about the personal life of software and apps, but even in business, right? There's so much to choose from and there's so much being presented. And so what happens is you hear about something, right? A friend of yours or another business tells you they're using this great tool. It's really drastically changed their business. It's not necessarily software. It's about how that software was came to be, right? And the process behind it. And that's
Yeah.
the world I live in, Michael, is helping people follow what I call the process first methodology. And that's a methodology we've built to really understand where the gaps are within a business, where what I call the leaks are happening, little holes in your bucket where things are just slipping out and you're not even maybe realizing, and how to
Yeah,
fix those holes to make your business be able to grow more, I wouldn't say faster, but more succinct so things are not slipping through those cracks.
that's great. So tell us about some of those holes we need to plug up in our bucket.
Sure. So let's talk about on the sales side. It's not that a salesperson doesn't want to follow up. We all have good intentions, but what happens? We get busy. The phone rings. We have a meeting to go to. We're traveling. We're in and out of the car all day. And so what happens is that you say, okay, I'll follow up with Michael tomorrow. And then tomorrow happens. Oh, I'm busy. I'm going to follow up with Michael and at the end of the week. And next thing you know, you never follow up with Michael. And then
Yeah,
Michael still needs what you were selling, but because you never followed up, Michael's just going to buy from your competitor. And so this is a cat and mouse game that salespeople constantly battle with. And the reason that it happens is because there is no process. And that's where, it comes in, to be most fruitful is giving them a process to follow so that they can work more efficiently, not harder, but smarter. And so it's a couple that we're talking about giving people the right tools, right? And if we
okay.
don't know how to use those tools, then we're never going to use them. And so if you're listening today, if you're the owner of a business, if you're a salesperson, even a marketing person, you may have tools at your disposal, but you may think of them as a glorified address book, or you may be unclear on exactly what they can do for you and how they can help. Or you may think you're doing double data entry. And if anything of those things are true, it probably means that you weren't given a process to follow. And it's, not unshocking to think that as a listener, you may not have processes in your business that are written down. And that's one of the things that we focus on, Michael, is taking everything out of the brain power that we all have, right? Out of the owner's brain, out of the head of sales, and putting that on paper so they could visually see this is how you should follow up with a lead. This is how you should bring somebody through the sales process. This is the things you should talk about. This is how to deal with objections. If we don't do those things, then we're just really shooting from the hip. And no one's ever learned to ride a bike just by saying, "Oh, just jump on and just wing it. You'll figure it out." Right? There's technique for learning how to ride a bike, and if you
Yeah.
ignore that technique, you're almost every time going to fall off that bike.
I like what you said about a process because most businesses, they don't have a process. And I remember when I started out many, let's see, what year is this? A long time ago. So when I was in a position of like a sales guy and a sales rep, here was my process. It was, okay, Michael, call on these people. So I'd call on them. And if they're not there, then write in your little book, call this guy back tomorrow.
Hmm.
The end. That was the process. It's almost like that now sometimes because, um, I get really busy. Everybody gets really busy. And I put it in my little database. It's on my computer and it pops up on my phone. And a lot of times that's my process. And you're right. Sometimes I just forget or it slips through
Hmm.
the cracks. And Jason, you may not believe this. You may not have ever done this because you are the sales process guru, but sometimes I've actually put the callback on the wrong day and the wrong time and forgot about the whole thing. And you're right, they went with somebody else. So fix that for us. What do we do now?
So the best thing to do is a little exercise. And if you're on the treadmill, you're driving, then this is an exercise you could do when you get back to the office or your home. But you just grab a piece of paper out of your printer or your little legal pad, whatever you might have, and you get a pencil and you start writing down what you believe your process is. So what I want you to do is write down what's the first thing you do when you get a lead from the website or when somebody calls you or when you meet somebody at a networking event or at a trade show. However you find that person, it's irrelevant. But what's the first thing that you do? And also, I should mention, how long does it take to respond? So, in other words, if you do get a phone call and it's a voicemail or somebody fills out a form on your website,
Yeah.
is it within 10 minutes? It should be. Is it
Yeah.
within a day? Is it within a week? The longer you wait to get back to them, they're most likely already hired or spoke to somebody else they're going to work with. So that's the first thing is figuring out the timing. But then after you write down that first step is what's the second step that you do? Do you get on a call with them? Do you have to meet them in person? Do you have to send them something? And so on and so on. And I want you to write down all of the steps you believe you follow. Now, whether or not you follow all those steps verbatim every single time, that's okay. We expect that you probably don't. But what we want to put down on paper is what you believe is the process that you think in your mind you're doing your best effort to follow, and how long it takes to go from step one to step two to step three, etc. That's where we're going to start recognizing the pattern of where there's issues with that current process that's up in your head. That's the very first step. And I will guarantee you're going to find improvements you can make. And then to your point, Michael, it might just be simply putting reminders on your calendar. Maybe you don't have a CRM, or it might be a new column in your spreadsheet. I'm not suggesting, well, I am, but I'm not suggesting you're
Go
going
on.
to buy some expensive CRM,
Go
right?
ahead and do
You may be
that.
a solo entrepreneur, you may have a small team, you may not be able to afford it, you may not be ready just yet. You can get by without one as long as you have the process and you have a way to keep accountable to yourself and keep accountable to the rest of the team, then that will work. And that's the very first step I would recommend.
I like that. That's a really good first step. Okay, so I'm on to first. I've completed step one.
Yeah.
What do I do now? Oh, it's time for a coffee break. No, I'm just
So
kidding.
the second thing you need to do is you need to start thinking about, what are the problems I have? Is it that I don't have enough time to follow up? Is it that, for example, we have some clients that do a phenomenal job once they've qualified somebody. So in other words, once that person has met the criteria to buy whatever it is they're selling, they're on, it's like white on rice, right? They're on it. They know what to do. They do it really well. Getting somebody to that qualification process is really difficult for them, right? That's where things fall apart. Sometimes it's the proposal, right? How many of you listening send out proposals and you never hear back? And you're like, oh, it's been 2 months, it's been 2 weeks. I'm assuming they're just going with someone else, or they don't have the money. And I know it's happened to you, Michael. It's happened to me, right?
Yeah.
And so a great story really quickly with that. One of our clients, who we work in all different industries, is a roofing company, family owned business, doing about $7 million a year, been around for 20 plus years. After 6 weeks, Michael, they stopped following up. Why? They didn't have the manpower. And they just assumed that after 6 weeks of going to the house, doing the
Wow.
estimate, that somebody else probably got the bid, because why would the decision take so long to make by the homeowner? And I said, well, that's absolutely ridiculous. You're expecting somebody to have $20,000, $30,000 to pay for a roofing project after meeting them, and then 4 weeks later they're going to make a decision. It can happen, but it probably takes longer. And the short story to that solution for us was to build an automation within their new CRM, where it gently reminded everybody every 2 months for 2 years. The automation ran 2 years after the proposal was delivered. And what we found is that we started closing deals 15 to 18 months later through the automation. And then in 2025, when this first fully ran for a full year, we closed over $3 million in revenue, surplus revenue, just from the follow up sequence. And that,
I love that. So you're not just stopping at the end of a month. It's like, oh, whatever. You really string this thing out for 18 to 24 months to just stay in contact with them. That's amazing.
sales cycle. Yeah. I mean, every business is different, of course, but, what we found is that sometimes people just need time to make a decision. And
Yeah.
if they liked you and you built a good rapport with them, a gentle, just check in or a nudge or whatever you want to call it, and if it's not salesy and if it's done in a tactful way, can really make a big difference. And I should add also too, for that particular client, we added an escape clause, meaning that, well, if you already hired somebody else, no problem, we understand. Can you let us know why? And there was an exit survey with a one question: why did you hire somebody else? And that's the other answer is one question from a drop down. Was price? I went through a relative. You took too long to get back to me. Whatever the six choices are they needed, and it started to help the sales team understand why they were losing deals.
I think that's pretty amazing. From my experience, I have a lot of clients that we'll set up an SEO or a PPC campaign for them, and we'll talk to them 2 3 weeks, a couple of months or so down the road. Well, how are things going? Well, I haven't made any sales. Well, number one, it's not my job to make the sale.
Right.
They're calling you
Hmm.
You know, my job is to get you guys a phone call or a callback or a response to the email or the direct mail piece or whatever. That's my job. And I find so many, Jason, that they don't follow up. They don't call at all. And they expect, I don't know what they expect. You're the guru here, but sometimes they expect, okay, the phone should be ringing off the hook, and I should be sitting there with a pen and paper just taking orders because I spent money on this ad campaign. I go, that's not how it works, guys. You
Yeah.
have to call them back, and probably more than once. I really like the process that you've got where you've extended it out more than a month or two, 18 to 24 months, and you're showing success. I think that's incredible. That's a new one on me. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah,
What,
absolutely.
what,
And I should mention to your point, because you brought up something really important, the amount of, and I'm not saying I don't know what you charge, right? And it's irrelevant to the point to me to say that you're
yeah,
charging something to your clients to do this work for them. And so if it costs them, whether it costs them $2 or $20 to get that person to fill out that form on the website, they're doing a really poor job at converting that investment they've made. And
yeah,
so one thing that really needs to resonate when I talk to people and I try to get clear across to them is that you're making an investment. Why are you going to ignore your responsibility in that investment? Because it is, you know, a cooperative, right, process. It's not
yeah,
just you doing all the work for them. And I always tell people, if you know, and not everybody invests in the stock market or as a financial planner, but if you do and you get the concept, you wouldn't just feed everybody, $2,000 a month to invest for you and never ask them, hey, how's my investment doing? Am I making money? Am I losing money? Because if you were continually losing money, any smart investor would be like, you know what, I'm just not going to invest anymore because what your strategy is doing is not bringing me a return on my investment. And
right.
so it's something that in the world of marketing is this like gray, murky area where
Yeah,
people just they don't think about the ROI. They're just like, oh, it's gonna work. Why wouldn't it work?
yeah, and you're exactly right. And they look at the short term ROI. Well, I've been doing this for 3 months. I've spent $6,000. I don't have anything to show for it. My initial response is, well, you've only been doing it for 3 months.
Mhm.
Based upon our research, your competitors have been doing this for 3 years. Do
Right.
you think that in 3 months you can take the market share away from your competitors? Been doing it for 3 years, and what type of follow up are you doing? Well, I called the guy back. They weren't there. I left a message. I got to tell you this one thing, Jason. You're going to love this. I know you've never had a client do this to you because all of your clients are perfect. However, and they never do anything wrong. So we did it. We're doing an ad campaign for a pool builder in Orange County, California, and it was a great campaign. And it come to find out that the guy goes, I don't think I'm getting any calls. And I go, well, I'm looking at the call tracking right here. You've got like 13 of them here. And this is a person who actually wanted to buy a pool. Well, when we delved further and we actually had the ability to not only track, but listen to the conversation, turns out that his person who was answering the phone, a quasi receptionist slash salesperson, was giving people the wrong information. Oh, we don't do that. But let me tell you who does. And they were sending it to their competition. I'm going,
Unbelievable.
what? Yeah. And so it obviously they weren't communicating. The owner and the salesperson, and nobody was communicating. It was insane. Now I know that's never happened to you.
No, never. Yeah, no, but that happens. I can't tell you how often where there is a miscommunication, and it's really, unfortunate because everybody wants the same thing, right? The marketing team and the sales team and the owner of a company, they all want the company to be successful. They all want, leads to come in. They want to be able to close those leads, but there is often that blame game where, marketing will say, oh, well, sales isn't doing a good job closing. Sales will say, well, marketing isn't giving us good leads. And so the reason that happens is because the data isn't being shared between the two teams. So that's really what our other part of that process is connecting that data. So there is
Yeah.
transparency to help everybody and even externally. So it's to help companies like yours, Michael, where you're able to give data back to the agency. I've also worked in pool construction. I have a couple of clients right now in that industry, and one client was getting, hundreds of leads from Facebook. But when I spoke to the salesperson that's in charge of the team, he's like, "Yeah, these phone numbers are garbage, or they're not returning our calls, right?" And so
Yeah.
I was able to then give that information to their marketing agency to say, "Listen," because the marketing agency didn't know, so they thought, "Oh, Facebook is working. We're generating all these leads." And I was like, "Well, it's really, maybe like a 2% quality score on those leads. So either we need to ditch Facebook, or you need to revise the marketing strategy on Facebook because you're attracting the wrong people. They're not qualified."
Yeah, and maybe they've identified a situation where their salespeople need to be educated on how to follow up with leads.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Call them back within this time frame. Listen to Jason, and it might take 2 years to get to nail these guys, but still, I think that's great. Is there another step that's involved in this?
Yeah, another step would be understanding what you need. So sometimes people will talk to me, "Oh, Jason, I love this platform. My friend Jim loves this platform. I want to use it for my team." I said, "Well, that's great, Dave, but your team is out on the road, and this platform doesn't have a mobile app. So how's your team going to access the platform?" "Oh, well, I didn't think about that." And so, it's understanding what, not the features and benefits, not to say, "Oh, we want a system that does email marketing. We want a system that does quoting." Those are functions, right, of a platform. We need to understand like how the team is going to use it. Well, you should, I say, as a listener, think about like, how is my team going to use it? What do they need to be doing in here? What are they not doing currently because they don't have this system? That's where you need to start. And then the last step, that's the most, I would say, critical out of all of them, is support. My methodology, is that, and one, and really theory, I should say, Michael,
Yeah.
when you buy software, the lower the cost of the software, generally speaking, from my personal experience, the more terrible the support is. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially if it's free.
Yeah.
And
That's what
so
I see.
you would see that too, right, Michael?
Yeah.
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 So before you buy anything, you have to realize, okay, I'm going to need help with this new tool that I know nothing about. I'm also going to need help setting it up once I figured out the process and all these other things that we just spoke about. So who's going to help me do that? Who's going to help me build the system? Who's going to help me train my team? Who's going to be there for support? Who's going to be there to ongoingly make changes and modifications, because that'll inevitably need to happen? And so when you're doing these demos, you need to ask the question, what does your support structure look like? Can I get on a phone call with someone? Can I get on a video call? Is it just through ticketing? How long is the response time? If I ask a question today, will I get a question answer back in an hour? Will it take a week?
Yeah.
And so that's where a lot of companies also fail short, is because they don't think about that, and then they're stuck with a platform that nobody knows how to use. They just put all this money into, and then there's stuff holding the bag of the digital expensive dust that doesn't help.
Yeah. You can't go to Uncle Bob's cheap discount car lot and expect to receive a Rolls Royce service on the back end. It's probably not going to happen.
Most likely not. That's right.
What are some other things that you see going on where businesses make some critical errors in maximizing their potential for profitability and ROI conversions?
Well, I think another thing too is that we've shifted in the world of sales, and Michael, and I'm sure listeners know too, is it's now the buyer that's in full control. And so what I mean by that is, it's once we have all these tools and the process and all that figured out, we have to start looking at the content and the communication, and how are you communicating to people that are trying to buy from you. And if you're just out there, pitching your wares and, listing all the features and benefits and how great you are, you're probably not going to be doing so well. And so what we teach clients, and we help create this content for our clients, is, what are the problems that you're solving? How have you solved those problems before? Who have you solved them for? And really making sure that the team is equipped with the right messaging. Because let's face it, you may have a few salespeople that are amazing at writing emails, and they're killing it, right? They're getting responses in every email. But then you have five other salespeople that are not very good at writing, and that's okay. I mean, it happens. But why not share the wealth? Why not take those templates that work so well for your rock stars and build them so that everybody has access to those templates? And more importantly, make sure that that messaging reflects to the website copy that's on your website that Michael's built for you, right?
Oh
That's
yeah.
marketing messaging. And so, how often do you have the salespeople promoting and talking about stuff, and that language is completely different than all the other marketing language? And so, that's a huge mishap as well, where people don't think about that. They've had their website for 10 plus years, and now they're writing all these new sales emails. They're using AI to create sales emails, and they're not thinking about the broader picture of how this all gets connected and is perceived by a prospective customer.
You absolutely hit the nail right on the head there, my friend. In fact, that's one of my hot buttons. We've got businesses, clients that haven't updated their website in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Google has updated their algorithm like 30 times during that time frame.
3,000 times, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and the content that they have on there is old. It's not relevant. It may not even match their current sales process and the products and services that they're offering. Everything has to be updated on a continuous basis. Uh, I don't know why, Jason. Some businesses that think that I have a website. It's been there for 10 years. It's fine. I don't need to touch it. I go, well, wait a minute. How often do you change the oil in your car? do,
Mhm.
do you take it in for service? This is the same thing. I mean, these things are not eternal. You know, you need to check these things out and make sure that the content is relevant and that you've got good things always going on there. Um, it, yeah, don't get me going here. It'll turn into the Michael's pet peeve show. We don't want to go down that road.
That's another
But
episode.
yeah, it's crazy. And I got to say this as long as I got you here. Yeah, I have a lot of clients, and you probably do, that are doing podcasting, and they don't understand that when they put their podcast up on YouTube or on any of the podcast channels, they need to fill out the descriptions with all the keywords and the actual content because Google still sends out the bots. They look at the content and they use that as part of their SEO search
Mhm.
and ranking thing. It's like, why are you guys not doing this? Anyway, I don't want to belabor that point because we only got a minute left here or so, Jason. So, one thing that I was looking at here on some of the stuff that you do, you've got some marketing automation solutions that you're working with.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about those. And Jason, if we run out of time, I think we need to do a part two, one of these. If we run out of time, we'll do that. But tell us about marketing automation right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So marketing automation, I mean, it's again going back to the process. I'll give a really quick example. We have a client in the public community space. So as I mentioned, we do lots of industries. One of them is nonprofit, and they're running Facebook ads where you fill out a form directly on Facebook. I was like, well, now that we have that connected to the CRM, how about sending them an automatic email? Thank you for entering the sweepstakes, and then nurturing them. And they're like, you can do that? And and I was like, yeah, we can do that. And so, marketing automation is essentially before the sale. How do we nurture and educate people while they're making a decision? And it's
Yeah.
not about selling to them, it's about educating them to inform them on why you can help them, how you can help them, how you've helped others similar to them, and giving them the information they need so that they become a subject matter in whatever they're trying to research. And then you
Yeah.
become the go to solution for that service.
So, Jason, before we run off, I'm sure we've got some people who'd like to talk to you. How can we get a hold of you? Phone number, email, website?
Yeah, I could give it all. I mean, so the best way to find me is to go to afterthelead.com because as we've been talking today, everything happens after you get the lead in my world. So afterthelead.com, you can connect with me there, phone number, book a call with me, all my socials there. And that would be the easiest way to find me, Michael.
Great. I understand you're on Spotify and YouTube.
Yes.
Is that also on afterthelead.com or is it just under Cultivize?
If you search Cultivize, Cultivize, on any of those platforms, throw my name in with that. You'll find me on YouTube and on
Great.
Spotify.
Jason, founder of Cultivize, thank you for being such a great guest today. I'll see you guys again next time with another exciting episode of Make It Easy for People to Give You Money.